welcome to Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today we're going to discuss litigation after Corona, recommendations and observations. And we have a very eminent panel in this part 2. We have the same panel that was with us in part 1, which is Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. He's third time sitting member of Parliament. He joins us on the show. We have with us Mukul Rohatgi, who has served as the Attorney General of India. We have with us Mr. Ryan Karanjawala, Managing Partner of Karanjawala and Company. And we have with us Mahesh Agarwal, who is Managing Partner of Agarwal Law Associates. We welcome all of you on part 2 of this series. And to start with, from where we took off, we will start with Dr. Singhvi. If you can continue from where Mr. Mukul Rohatgi took off, where he spoke to us in part 1, where he said that evening at about 4 p.m. or so mentioning can be done. Do you think that would be convenient?
You see, anything which is systemized and done in a disciplined way uniformly is no problem. I'll give you an example. Both of us and many others have had this experience. Whenever we do some mentioning in the vacations, some bench or the other, some judge or the other says, oh, how are we seeing Dr. Singhvi mentioning? How are we seeing Rohatgi mentioning? We used to have this tradition in the old days when seniors did not mention. I always tell them, right up then, I said, well, I am the first to say if you have a rule, apply it uniformly. Because the bench next door doesn't implement this rule. So the ad hocism must end. So make a plan. It hardly matters if it's 10:30 or it's 4:15. It doesn't matter if it's virtual. Make a plan. And I am all even for the plan. You want to abolish mentioning for seniors, do it. But it's not so easy as it is made out. It's not that. There are sometimes stakes of a kind where the chap who's mentioning, his life hangs on it. Now, he believes that he will not be able to do it without a senior. So you have a quota limit, as Mukul said, or other things like that. But the problem is there are no systemized plans. Individual situations are giving individual suggestions, sermons, and nothing is being tied up. But I do believe that in the Corona period, we've had the other extreme. We'd have a sledgehammer approach that we have had great difficulty, and Mahesh will bear me out, Ryan will bear me out, when we wanted to mention desperately, in fact, life and death, there's no way. So you are doing, again, these things, develop arteries which are subsidiary. You wait for some other matter and you kind of steal his link and then you improve your own matter.
And now that's been frowned upon.
They're not satisfactory. There has to be a systematic plan. It's important thing is to declare that plan.
Okay. But
Tarun, if I can come in here.
Yes.
I just want to add to what both Mahesh said and what Dr. Singhvi said. I fully agree with Mahesh that mentioning is an important and extremely integral part of client advocacy and lawyer advocacy. Because if you aren't able to get the matter listed, how will you get the client relief when he needs it? That's the first point. And I absolutely agree with Manu that everything should be for a system. I see no reason why all this time during the lockdown, mentioning has been sort of virtually done away with. Why? After all, a litigant who has come to court in an urgent manner needs to be able to get his matter heard, needs to be able to get it reflected in the court and show, okay, well, look, this is my urgency, so why should I not hear it? So I absolutely feel that this system of mentioning should be brought back. As Mukul said, if the chief doesn't want to take it on himself, he can allocate it among 5 different judges or 5 different benches on different days or on different weeks. And, Bolo?
No, you carry on. I wanted to say something after that.
He can allocate it among themselves, and the matters can be heard. Because mentioning is an equally integral part of our ability to satisfy the client's requirements. Bolo, Mukul?
Yeah, Tarun, all of us seem to be talking about mentioning in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
See, the problem in the Supreme Court is one court where appeals come from every corner of India. So obviously the docket is very, very heavy. It is overcrowded. So you get to push your way through so that you get a hearing. That's what we are discussing. But now look at the other end of the spectrum. Take Delhi High Court, for example. I mean, I have practiced there from 1978 onwards. And Singhvi will vouch for it. And so will Mahesh and Ryan. Delhi High Court, if you ask me, has the best registry in India for the last 50 years that I have seen. The reason is this. A petition is filed anytime by 11 o'clock in the morning or 11:30. It is bound to come up the next day if you fill up a stay petition. You got to go nowhere. You don't have to explain anything. You have to do nothing. The system is so good that it will come up the next day. If it doesn't come up the next day, it's bound to come up the day after. There's no question about it. Now, the only thing is, if you want the matter to be listed the same day as you file, only for that reason, really, you have to mention to the Chief Justice that it is so urgent at 10:30 that some house is going to be demolished in the afternoon, and therefore you want a hearing in the afternoon. And the Chief Justice, by and large, will readily oblige you, unless you are just fibbing. So, with that grade system, this mentioning is kind of irrelevant in that court. While on the other hand, if you ask me, the worst system, and I'm sorry to say, is in a premier high court like Bombay. If you file a petition and you just mark it as urgent, it won't come up for 3 months. So you have to go on, mentioning. Supreme Court is not as bad as the other extreme that I've given. So some amount of mentioning is a must. If you can put your affairs in order, that everything comes up the next day or within 2 days or 3 days, mentioning will become minimal. But that is not so in the Supreme Court. It is flooded with work from 25 high courts. Therefore, some amount of mentioning is a must. Some house is being demolished. Somebody is going to be hanged. I mean, in hanging and all, obviously, courts grant immediate hearing. But some amount of mentioning is a must. And I agree with Singhvi that sometimes it is so important and the stakes are so high that the client does not trust a lawyer, say even of 20 years standing who may not be a senior, to be able to put forward his case, okay, it should be heard tomorrow. What happens? And if the Supreme Court doesn't grant you a hearing, the event is over, then it is irreversible. That's the importance of mentioning.
And my friend would bear me out that Justice Kapadia never allowed mentioning. He was a judge, but he had designated court number 2 or 3. So the mentionings went on even during his time, although he personally disliked mentioning. So we were mentioning matters in court 2, 3. So some system has to be...
That's fine.
One second, Tarun, just to add to this, it's a facet. Actually, in this process, we forget, again, we are becoming too court-centric or too one-court-centric. You have to think of India. There are many Indias in one. And a lot of litigation we are generating, and a court's 1/3, 1/10, 1/5 time is being wasted by artificially generated litigation. Because not only is the Bombay High Court example which he gave, I will give you in the last 1.5, 2 months bizarre example which I didn't even know. In Calcutta, etc., it has taken 5 weeks to list a matter. In between those 5 weeks, the man must have mentioned 5 times. Now that mentioning there are mentionings like this which are in hundreds. So it takes up a lot of time. In Jharkhand High Court, a matter is being yet to be listed next week after 6 weeks. By simple filing with urgency and everything, defect-free. Now, by not setting your individual high courts in order, you are creating many Indias in one. And imagine the amount of judicial time collectively you are wasting in India by generating litigation, which is only mentioning litigation, which did not arise at all. And there are more high courts like this I can name out.
I would just like to add an example to what Singhvi said. I mean, we have appeared in cases where a man files a petition, say in Calcutta or Jharkhand. Despite mentioning it doesn't come up for hearing at all. So the man files the same petition again in the Supreme Court, saying that what should I do? Because the High Court is not hearing. Now, this is not an appeal because no order has been passed. So we are trying, and the Supreme Court is frowning on us. Why have you come here when you moved the High Court? So we're saying, no, High Court is not giving us a hearing. So sometimes you get sympathy of a court by saying, all right, we'll tell the High Court to hear it. I mean, this kind of litigation is absurd. Taking time, money, I mean, it's nonsensical only because some high courts are not pulling their weight.
Okay, that's a fair point. I have a different question here for Dr. Singhvi. Now, Bombay High Court and Chhattisgarh both have gone off, in a sense, virtual hearings. Would you want to come in on that and make a comment or make a request?
This kind of thing should not happen. I think it's very simple and straightforward. There was, let me be very quick and pointed, there was a campaign carried out from, let us say, 3 months post-corona till now. That is for 6 months of the 9 months, that you should have physical. The campaign was mixed up with a lot of allegations that this is favorable to a certain set of lawyers only, this must end, this is discriminatory, etc., etc. Now the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The best statistical answer came when Delhi High Court found that 0.001% of some such ridiculous figure was in favor of physical hearings. Every physical hearing was in fact abolished because it would not go on, and they had ultimately settled for a 1 day in the week system, which is hardly attended. This was also tried elsewhere. It did not succeed. So I think we don't have to try and do things for show. as long as corona is there, and we are now hopefully at the cusp of a vaccine, whether the vaccine takes January or takes March, we are now possibly over the worst part. Till then, to merely say that the whole court shall be physical is actually creating your own problems. I can guarantee that no high court in the country can do more than 5 to 10% of its normal output if it declares itself physical. It's not a question of me or you or anybody. Most lawyers will not risk it. It's not worth the risk of going physical. So I'm quite astounded how this decision has been taken. I can understand, yes, that we will have, instead of one bench, we'll have 3 benches on physical because it might help some lawyers. Certainly it should be. But to suggest that a high court has become physical before vaccination and before the end of corona, when you are talking in many places, Germany is going to a lockdown again. Thank God we haven't had a second phase or a second wave. So therefore,
Dr. Singh, you have
not populist. And our Delhi has given the proof. In Supreme Court, the figure was less than 1% who actually came for physical. In High Court, it was even lower.
Can I just add, Tarun, the same vein? I mean, at the end of the day, do you think Bombay and Jharkhand, which have started physical, are they islands? I mean, are they not in India? You tell me one city, one place in India where there is no corona or people are not scared mortally of corona. I mean, I can tell you, I went to the hills. I have a house at 7,500 feet. I found there were people having corona there also. So, I mean, a popular city like Bombay, how does it say that it is an island? How does the court say that the Supreme Court may or may not do physical, Delhi High Court may not do, Calcutta may not do, but then Bombay has suddenly become so much better? Bombay was in a terrible situation 3 months ago. So, this, I don't think it's correct. They should have taken their cue from the Supreme Court. They should have ensured that vaccine comes, and at least people, at least 50% people get vaccine, and then, antibodies develop and all that. If you have spent 9 months, you jolly well spend 2-3 more months and be done with it. I mean, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's not as if that there is no light. So I completely disapprove of the manner in which Bombay and Jharkhand seem to have started physical in trying to force lawyers to come. I mean, there's no way that lawyers like us who are 65 years of age are going to go to the court in a hurry unless there is a vaccine, which ultimately means that a client is deprived of a lawyer that he wants to choose.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you something, Tarun. Just before the Zoom, I was on another Zoom with some friends of mine in Bombay, one of whom is Amit Desai. And I asked Amit, Amit, have you stepped into court at all? He's a senior counsel and one of the top criminal counsels. He said, look, I've avoided as far as possible. I went in only one matter where I was appearing for the state government, that too for a limited and short time. My other friend, Navroz Sirvai, and my other friend, Darayas Kambata, told me that, look, we are really not interested in appearing in this situation. So what you're doing in a sense is you are really putting a lot of lawyers at risk, and a lot of litigants are not able to get the lawyers they want.
basically you're saying Bombay
Because you've suddenly
should rethink.
Definitely.
No, see, Tarun, as far as I am concerned, if there is a compulsion, I am not going to go. That's clear. So it doesn't matter to me. I mean, in one sense, I am happy. Instead of doing 10 matters, I'll do 4 or 3. I mean, I won't do physical. It suits me. But this is not the way. Again, individualistic approaches are not correct.
But I must add one thing, Tarun. I think, to be with grave respect, and I don't mean to use strong words, it is irresponsible to do it. I'll tell you why. And it is not a question. You can't open a court only for Singhvi or Karanjawala or Rodgi or Agarwal. When you open a court for physical and declare the court physical, you will have a minimum in the Supreme Court 2,000 people. I don't know the figure, but minimum. The court doesn't function because 12 judges come and 15 lawyers come. The entire support system comes. In Bombay High Court, that figure may be 4,000 or 6,000. Now, to imagine a courtroom with even 1/10 of that, control distancing and all that, you will have a public health disaster. Who's going to answer for that? A public health disaster, you will actually create corona of a very big kind. So I don't understand how this decision could have been taken.
Point, Mahesh Agarwal, if you want to have a point on this.
No, I only want to say that there are some courts, to balance interest, they have a hybrid system. Like in Karnataka, in some courts, they have a screen. So if a lawyer wants to appear on a screen, he can appear. Simultaneously, there's a desk. Somebody can appear physically also. So in the same case, you have one lawyer appearing physically and one appearing hybrid. So if the Bombay High Court or Jharkhand High Court wanted to help lawyers who are not so much technology advanced or who have some handicap and who want to appear physically, they can develop a system like this. which is hybrid. You
That-
can have two screens.
We have a-
Mahesh, can I just add one thing? Every lawyer who is going to a high court, I'm not talking about district court lawyers, but every lawyer of high court and district court for that matter has got a telephone. Today you can argue on a phone. I have done it so many times. I mean, to say that a lawyer won't have the infrastructure of a telephone, I'm not willing to believe it at all, unless you go to some remote tehsil somewhere. But every district court lawyer, every lawyer, even let us
I
say
agree.
small places like Meerut, Bulandshahr, you know, all these places, people have phones here. I mean, I don't agree. I mean, your domestic staff has got phones. They send you a WhatsApp. You mean to say a lawyer doesn't have? I mean, this is it's not believable according to me.
If you could tell me what else can be done, because we already have the facility of lawyers appearing digitally. So what can be done? What will be, what can be done which will benefit the clients?
So in the going forward, even when the courts actually come back to the system of an actual physical hearing as far as the lawyers are concerned, there is no reason as to why the client cannot make available, the court cannot make available to the client a video link by which he can watch the proceedings. See, today a client has to come to court if he wants to see what is happening, but he does so at a considerable cost to himself. His day gets disrupted. He has to stop the work he was doing. If he's an employee in a particular firm, he has to take leave. He has to come all the way. He often comes all the way, finds that the matter got adjourned, goes back, feels more frustrated. Sometimes he has to travel from a distance because in the Supreme Court and even sometimes in the Delhi High Court, in the Supreme Court, of course, clients geographically have to travel from all across the country. In the Delhi High Court also, very often they have to travel great distances. Some matters are filed where the clients are actually not staying in the same city. So therefore, it immediately allows a client to watch the proceedings, understand, get to know what he wants to know without having to physically disturb himself. That is one. Secondly, the other great advantage is that this in no way affects anyone adversely. The lawyers who want to argue in the normal way, which is in real time, in physical courts, get to argue in physical courts. So nobody is inconvenienced. A client who wants to come to court is always welcome to come to court. But a client who wants to view the proceedings through a virtual link has that advantage and has that ability. The further ability of this for the client is that clients who often did want to come to court but couldn't because of a variety of reasons, including having to give up their work and so on and so forth, now can actually watch their proceedings. So it saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of cost. It's at great convenience to the client.
Okay.
So in any case, I think going forward, this is something that the court should retain as far as virtual links are concerned. And the virtual link will be simple. The client will get it from the advocate, and the virtual link will only allow the client to come in and observe. He cannot be seen and he cannot speak. He can only see and hear.
A very quick law firm question. It's on technology expenditure versus real estate. Now we all know you have prime offices in Delhi, in Connaught Place and Safdarjung. But technology is also expensive. A lot of money gets spent on upgradation. Do you think that law offices now will become technology led? You don't need to have all your staff in prime places. They can work in distributed workspaces from various parts of India.
Let me tell you what I feel can happen to the advantage of the law firms. First of all, I personally have never believed in buying a lot of property or having a big office or an overly this thing, because I personally have never had that view. But now going forward, one thing which will become essential is that people spend on technology. For example, even though we may not have video conferencing with the courts in many matters going forward, there's nothing to stop us from video conferencing with counsel. So what happens is suddenly distance is eliminated, time is saved, both for the counsel and certainly for the advocate on record. Because otherwise 4 of my juniors have to travel, 2 clients have to travel. They go, they wait, they have the conference, they come back. Here sitting in my office with technology, they'll be able to represent the case to the counsel who will understand it. If he feels that there is something that he needs a personal interaction on, he'll call us, we'll go next morning, it'll be explained away and it'll go on. So first of all, going forward, I see all the firms. I see my firm, I see Mahesh's firm, I see all the firms using technology, at least vis-a-vis counsel and vis-a-vis client conference. You know, the client doesn't have to come to our office to give instructions. He can give it on the on video. So that's one thing I think will happen. Then, as far as the courts are concerned, I don't see why the Supreme Court, for example, can't designate one day every 2 weeks or one day every week to be just virtual, so that all the people who are coming in from out of India come in on that one day, address the courts, get a greater sense of familiarity. I don't see why things like mentioning the Chief Justice doesn't allocate the evening earlier, give just half an hour, put 3 benches, it gets done. Now, there is no doubt that the courts have not functioned at full strength during the whole lockdown. So there is absolutely no reason. See, now, for example, if a court has to assemble, then it's a large paraphernalia. But there is no reason why the Chief Justice cannot request his brother judges that every Saturday you give us 1 hour or 1.5 hours of virtual hearing to add to the amount of work that you're already doing. And a lot of matters can be...
Quick question, before I go to Mahesh Agarwal, when you mention about the clients not coming to court, do you think the Chief Justice needs to take a view on this matter so that all courts agree to this, that clients, in a sense, they should be given this option?
See, the client should be given the option. It's not as we are physically stopping the client to come if he wants to come. But the point is, you give him the option of saying, okay, I can watch how my lawyer is performing, sitting in my shop or sitting in my office. I don't have to spend my whole day physically going to court and therefore sort of cursing the way the litigation system functions in India. Because obviously the frustration is much more if you go all the way, find your matters got adjourned, now go all the way back. At least if you were sitting and continuing with your work, your frustration in the litigative system in India would be reduced.
Now, Mr.
That's
Mahesh,
how I see.
your set of points on these all issues.
In terms of costing of real estate versus technology, I think the technology cost is minuscule, and going forward,
Absolutely.
it's really, really cost effective. Now, in terms of many ways, if you have technology in your office, you can have virtual meetings. The client cost of traveling from all over India to Delhi is saved. Your cost of going all over Delhi for various meetings is saved. Your time is saved. So obviously the space required in the office is also saved. Secondly, what was happening earlier is everybody used to paper. So in one matter, if we have 4 lawyers working, we'll have 10 volumes and 4 sets. That occupies space in the office. Now it's all virtual. You have 10 scanned copies. It doesn't occupy any space. They don't get destroyed. You don't lose the paper. You can make your notes. They're all permanent. So going forward, this technology is going to help us in a great way. Next point, in terms of meetings or strategy discussions, you can have as many times as you want with the client. Otherwise, he will come to you when he's preparing and filing the SLP and come later. Here, the client thinks of a point. He says, can I have a Zoom call? Can I have a discussion? We can do it anytime. Of course, there is no substitute to a physical meeting for a big strategy discussion or some strategic point which has to be discussed in terms of long-term litigation. You need to meet and scratch your heads. But other than that, in most of the time, I think technology will help in a big way. Our office spaces will shrink. We will save cost in office space, and technology will be the thing for the future.
Yeah, just add, Tarun.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, office space will shrink. It may or may not make much difference to me or to Singhvi or to the other firms which are here. But it will make a lot of difference to young lawyers, struggling lawyers, or lawyers working in the mufassil places who are unable to, have big places for offices. They'll be able to operate from a small office or even from a dining room in their house. The dining room is not used most parts of the day. I am currently sitting in my drawing room in my house because I have no visitors. I don't go anywhere. I'm using it. Other people can use it even when it becomes physical to meet clients at least. So that lawyer will not be at a disadvantage because Mr. Rohatgi has an office, but I don't have an office. So it has many, many advantages. There is no doubt about it. But one has to plan, upgrade technology. And as Mahesh said, I mean, to buy 1 or 2 more laptops or buy a big screen is a matter of 1 lakh or 50,000 or 2 lakhs. I mean, the real estate space in this city is so expensive that it is much better to do all this. There is no doubt about it.
Okay. Dr. Singhvi, you want to comment on this point?
Discuss most of the points. I want to just add, you'll be surprised that there are reports and recommendations saying that there should be multiple Supreme Court benches in the country. The principal reason given in those benches, I don't agree with that at all. I already think that we have sometimes 10, 12 Supreme Courts functioning in one building. If you start having a Supreme Court Southern bench and an Eastern bench and a Western bench inconsistency will become worse. But one of the principal reasons given is that the man in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu and Andhra and Kerala must have the feeling of being able to visit, and he can't visit Delhi. The cost saving alone for a litigant, and let me tell you, poor or rich, any litigant must visit at least 5 times before he gets the hearing finished in Supreme Court. There is no such thing as that the hearing is fixed on Wednesday, it will be over on Wednesday. There are 5 Wednesdays which he has to come. So this as a matter of right, if I am a litigant, forget the lawyers. See, a lawyer is ultimately a paid animal, he will travel if necessary. But the litigant will save immensely in time, energy, cost, hotel, airfare, and get a real courtroom view. And if I am the actual party, I have a right to get the link. So this should in any case become the norm. Secondly, our own conferences, everybody's conferences, I sometimes feel disgusted at my crowded office. And just now we were designing something and we said, okay, sirf 8 hi logo baithne ki jagah hai. You don't need more than that. If you have most of them as Zoom conference and occasionally a physical conference. So these must become the norm. I think they are going to become the norm. We only need some kind of a thinking about it, and we need a syncing of what we are thinking with what the courts are thinking. Because not just that we create something, it must sync.
Okay. So interesting set of points on today's deliberation on litigation after Corona, but on very important point of clients, should be given the option of not going to courts. Second of mentioning, and thirds of Bombay High Court and Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, in a sense, going back to physical. We need a separate legally speaking issue episode to address these points separately. The most important, where everybody concurs on, Mr. Karanjawala, Mahesh Agarwal, Mukul Rohatgi and Dr. Singhvi on the option to clients to not travel to courts, which itself will save a lot of money. But that's it for today. I would like to thank Dr. Singhvi, Mr. Rohatgi, Mr. Karanjawala and Mr. Mahesh Agarwal for, in a sense, giving us their time today. They all coming together is not easy, but they were kind enough to consent and agree. I would like to thank each one of you personally for finding time. Thank you, viewers, for watching us.
Thank you.
I hope it would have been enjoyable.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.